for joining us.
Thank you, Catherine. Pleasure.
Well, that was Hitesh Sheth of Juniper here in Hong Kong. Be back in a break. We'll talk to a new fund of funds, which is launching in Japan tomorrow amid the market concerns of a U.S. recession and a global slowdown. We'll find out why after the break.
What lies beneath your feet? Secrets below the street. Another world exists. Another city sleeps. The History Channel's breakout hit series, Cities of the Underworld, is all the talk above ground.
This is huge.
And underground. Cities of the Underworld, Monday nights on the History Channel.
Singtel proudly presents the world's first Formula One night race. Be part of history. (2008) Formula One Singtel Singapore Grand Prix tickets are now available. Call 656738-6738 or log on to singaporegp.sg to book your tickets now. Catch the action live and loud. A race like no other.
In the search for big investment rewards, it can pay to think small. Small and medium-sized companies can provide the fastest profit growth for investors, but it can also be a world of risk. Get insights you won't find anywhere else on Bloomberg Television. Every Monday, we'll focus on small and mid-cap stocks around the Asia-Pacific region. We'll talk with fund managers and corporate executives when we think small on Bloomberg Live.
Bets and commodities are paying off for Asia's biggest casino operator. Genting International reported profits rising by almost 2% last quarter to $161 million. But the gain can't be credited to gambling. Genting's investments in palm oil plantations helped to offset lower gambling income from the UK. 2/3 of Genting's sales come from hotels, gambling, and theme parks. But the Malaysian company began investing in other businesses to hedge against swings in volatile casino revenue. Yet another Hong Kong company is cashing out on the boom in Macau and China. Hong Kong's Hopewell Holdings' second-half profit nearly quadrupled, coming in at $674 million. Sales of a project in Macau and a stake in a Chinese toll road helped lift earnings. Hopewell is close to winning rights to build perhaps the world's most ambitious bridge project.
We do believe it's some sort of a tendering process, and we have our strength because we have been operating toll roads in China now for quite a long time and building roads as well.
It may soon win approval to build the near $8 billion project will link Hong Kong, Macau, and Zhuhai in mainland China. Hopewell first proposed a bridge plan 20 years ago. U.S. officials are trying to talk up the economy, even as recent data suggests otherwise. The weaker-than-expected GDP today didn't stop President Bush and Fed's Ben Bernanke from insisting the U.S. is not slipping into a recession. Just the same, the debate's keeping the global financial markets on edge. Our next guest is making the most out of this volatility. He's setting up Japan's first publicly traded hedge fund of funds. Niku Harachi is Managing Director and Portfolio Manager of N1 Asset Management, and he joins us now from Tokyo. Good to see you, Niku. So you're setting up this fund at a time that there is so much uncertainty in the global financial markets. What are your assumptions in the U.S. economy, and what sort of an impact do you think it's going to have on the Asian markets?
Good morning. It's good to be here.
And you're right. Actually, we think that the timing in the beginning of 2008, it's a great year to start off with a fund of funds, and especially now that it's public. But looking at the U.S. economy and then going over to the global economy, we are not optimistic on the U.S. economy. Even actually since last year, 2007, of the beginning, even in March, we came out and claimed that the subprime crisis would have a spillover. Now that we have 2008. And we don't think that the economic environment in the U.S. has improved. And there's a lot of talk about...
You can say the same for Japan. I mean, people haven't really been kind to the Japanese stock market since the start of the year. The Nikkei 225 index is still down more than 11% since we got to the new year. Why pick Japan when everybody else is looking away to the other markets in the region?
Well, that's obvious. As you said, the Japanese market's been down 11% so far this year. And I think the fact is that if you look since 1990, we have seen the Nikkei lose more than 60%. So we think that the retail investors in Japan hasn't really been spoiled with great equity returns. The other problem is that the Japanese retail investors hasn't really had a lot of opportunities to diversify their investments. We all know that the interest rates are very low. The equity markets hasn't really been performing well. So they have been looking for alternatives, but hasn't really been able to find some. And now launching this fund of ours, this has been more than 1 year of legal work in order to get it authorized. So it's been a lot of work and to entering this market. But we believe that the retail investors have been looking, and we hope they're open-minded for it.
But do you think they'll be interested at this point? I mean, you're not concerned about the Japanese economy tipping into recession and keeping investors away from investing their money in the markets and instead just save it? I mean, just look at the jobs data this morning. It showed a stagnant labor market, and the CPI data showed some inflationary pressures out there.
Well, this is the great thing about the hedge fund industry is that we can actually come out there, we can educate the investors that investing into a well-diversified fund of funds as ours is uncorrelating to the equity returns in the past. So if they invest with a fund of funds such as ours, the N1 Global Fund, they're not going to have a correlation and not going to be exposed to the equity markets. So we sure do hope that the investors are going to understand that this is a different segment of the market.
So how much are you hoping to raise in, say, the next 12 to 8 months for this public fund?
Well, for this public fund, we have a target. We're expecting to raise somewhere between 100 to 150 million for this public fund. And from other Japanese investors, we're expecting around another 100 to 150 million.
And what sort of returns are you going to be promising them? They got to be really good for them to be interested in this fund of funds.
It's going to be really good. But we are a fund which delivers consistent performance with low volatility. We're not promising our clients 30 to 40%. We're simply targeting somewhere between 10 to 15% over 3 years with a volatility below 6%. And this is what we've been able to generate in the past. And we are very optimistic that this is how we are going to be able to perform in the future.
But are you just going to be sticking it out in Japan and not going around the region and looking at opportunities there? You're not going to be hoping to raise money for the other Asian markets using other funds?
Well, we sure do. But the N1 Global Fund, which has now been licensed in Japan, this is only for the Japanese market. So this fund we're specifically going to market throughout Japan, which is the second largest economy. So we think there's a long way to go still and a lot of volume to be able to gather. And the other Asian markets, we are looking at them. We're expecting to open up a representative office by the end of 2008 in Korea. And we're also launching other funds, which is going to target institutional clients around Asia.
Why Korea? Is it the same or similar story as Japan? I mean, when you say Korea, it's a really highly exposed economy to the U.S. market.
It's very exposed. And for us, it's always good to look at countries which are very export-oriented, that could actually, in fact, really severe some blows to a downturn in the markets. Because having a fund of hedge fund, which is well diverse as ours, we have been able to generate consistent performance even in years of negative equity markets. So if we're going to go in as Japan, which is probably not going to be able to perform well in the current environment, Korea as well, we clearly think and hope and have seen in the past that investors are looking for new alternatives where they can be able to generate good returns.
Yeah, really interesting thesis there. Double-digit returns at a time of volatility in the markets. Well, it's good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us, Niku. Niku Harachi of N1 Asset Management in Tokyo. More of the latest business news after the break for our U.S. viewers. Money and Politics is next. You're watching Bloomberg Television.